Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Agent Market's Agent Masterclasses. One quick note before we start, everything we share today is for educational purposes only, not financial, legal, or professional advice specific to your situation. So, today we are talking about something that most professionals get completely wrong, YouTube. And I'm excited because our guest today has cracked the code on turning videos into actual business assets, not just content that disappears into the void. Carl Kwan is the founder of Kwan Multimedia here in Vancouver, and he's built a YouTube channel with over 125,000 subscribers and 60 million views. Carl, welcome to the masterclass.
Thank you very much for having me, Kimberly. Really excited to be here.
Excited to have you. So kick us off.
For sure. I'll just share my screen here with everyone. Thank you all for being here today. I am really excited to talk about this topic because it is something that a lot of people, as Kimberly mentioned, get wrong. And it has been, I don't want to say it's my mission, but it's incredibly frustrating to see how videos have been used in the wrong way. Now, as Kimberly mentioned, I have a YouTube channel with 125,000 subscribers. Actually, it's now 127,000. I just checked it this morning. So it's gone up a little bit more since we checked in and made the plans for this, which is really exciting. And the whole thing about YouTube and why that's exciting from my perspective is it just shows how powerful a platform YouTube has been for me and my business. Now, I didn't get the 127,000 subscribers overnight. I started YouTube back in 2009. At that time, I was an executive presentations coach. I was asked by my client, Korean Air, are there any videos on YouTube that you can show the students? And so there weren't any at the time. So I said, you know what, I will make the videos myself. Since that time, I've made for that channel, I think about 730-ish videos. And then for clients, probably about 2,000 videos. So I think in total, I've probably eclipsed more than 3,000 videos that I've made. And I've made videos for pretty much every single industry, including real estate, including coaching, including medical, including pretty much anything you can think of, I've probably done videos for. And the whole reason why I think videos are so important and why I want to talk about this topic to you in particular is because oftentimes businesses, especially people who are in real estate, feel that video is something that is one and done. They don't really see it from my perspective, which is long term. And so, like I said, I started making these videos in 2009. Within a very short period of time, I was getting calls from companies such as the Central Bank of South Korea, who saw my videos and said, we want to hire you to come and work with our senior economists to show them how to give presentations because we already know that you can do your job. Because without this visibility of being on YouTube, they wouldn't have even known about me. And so since that time, it's been my purpose, my mission to ensure that everyone, business owners, understand how powerful YouTube can be, especially when compared to other social media platforms. So let's get into one major area of why videos are so important. And it's this whole thing about visibility and ability. I heard this from actually a realtor who mentioned, you know what? Visibility is actually more important than ability. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was explaining to me that the more visible you are, the more people perceive you as being more capable and able to do your job. And it increases our credibility as well. So that's why having videos is so important because people get to hear your voice. They see you. They get to know you. It's why when people contact me and they get to work with me, they're like, oh yeah, we feel like we already know you. And it's because of the visibility from the videos. Now, why YouTube in particular? Well, if you don't know, YouTube is the world's second largest search engine. It's owned by Google, and it is an incredibly robust platform. You all use YouTube for whatever purposes you use it for. You know how popular it is, but you may not know how powerful it is. And the reason why I advocate for people using YouTube is because YouTube is probably the only platform that tries to help you find an audience. Why? Because they make money. YouTube makes money from advertising, from whatever revenue sources. They're huge, huge, huge in terms of revenue. So it's to their benefit that more people want to watch videos. So you have equal opportunity when it comes to using YouTube for your business. But how does it compare to other social media networks. And I know that for realtors, oftentimes you'll be like, oh, I'm going to be on TikTok. I'm going to be on Instagram. I'm going to do Facebook. Unless you do it a lot and do it strategically, I'm guessing that neither of these platforms actually bring you much business. There are some people that do make it work, but it takes a lot of effort, a lot more than YouTube, in fact. If you think about what you do on Instagram and on TikTok and on Facebook, it's kind of like if you had like a market, a stall in a market, like in the farmer's market or something like that, as an example. Every week you got to go there, you got to set it up, you got to bring all your stuff, you got to showcase what you're doing, and you got to try and draw up business every single time you're there. And at the end of the day, you pack up and you go home, and then the next week or the next day or whatever, you got to come back and do it all over again. So it's constantly having to feed this little machine in order for it to have any benefit to your business, if at all, because there are other competitors. There are other people there, other things vying for your attention. And people may not be looking for that thing. They're always just scrolling quickly. YouTube, on the other hand, is more like farming. It's more like planting seeds. It's more like harvesting something that grows and develops over time, and it pays you back over time as well. In fact, it's the only platform that does that. Because imagine if you publish something on Instagram, you're like, oh, wow, that was really great. I want to share that with somebody. Or I saw this video or this post on Instagram 3 months ago, and I want to share it with somebody. It's really hard to find it on Instagram or on TikTok or wherever it is, because everything gets, hidden within all the other posts, and finding it is really, really difficult. Whereas YouTube, because it is a search engine, it's much easier to find and share content, especially when you're thinking about how this can benefit your business, because you're trying to build up your awareness, trying to build up your credibility. So it's really important to be able to share content easily and quickly. And that's where YouTube also wins. Yeah, sure, of course. People think that Instagram, Facebook, TikTok are easy because, I just got to turn on my phone and make something. But to make it work is not as easy. And sure, YouTube isn't easy either, but the benefits are much longer term. You get more for your money and more for your time over a longer period of time compared to those other platforms. My example exactly. Since 2009, I have videos that I made over 10 years ago that still get 5,000 views every single month. It's crazy, but it's true because that's the power of YouTube. The other thing about YouTube is that if you produce content and it is what we call evergreen, which we're going to talk about later on in this program as well, is that it can still be beneficial years from now. So let's say you made a video and the title of the video was Best Neighborhoods in North Vancouver for Families, and you made this in 2023. Well, anyone who is interested in living in North Vancouver can still be shown this video because this video will still be relevant. And if it's not relevant for the neighborhood at the time, at least you'll have other content on your channel. You'll be visible and you'll be seen as the expert in this particular area, especially for North Vancouver, especially for families. That's how YouTube works. It looks at what someone might be interested in and helps to push an audience to that content. So maybe it is about families. Maybe you're interested in family content on YouTube. Well, hey, you know what? If you're interested in families, you might be interested in living in North Vancouver. If you're interested in North Vancouver hiking or doing activities or whatever, well, you might be interested in buying a home or learning about living there. So that's how YouTube works. It finds this kind of circle of people, of potential audience members that want to see your content. And they'll test whether or not those people want to watch it. So TikTok, if you made a video or something on there, you made it from 2023, it's not being shown to anyone in 2025 and beyond, right? There's no way that anyone's going to no, they're going to show you the latest content. That's how it works. With YouTube, a little bit different. That's why I'm like, do YouTube. The other thing about YouTube that is really, really cool and that is different as well is likes and views. So likes and views, we think, okay, well, the more likes, the more views, the better. The more subscribers we have, the better. Those are really vanity metrics in a lot of cases, especially for business owners. As a creator, as an influencer, yeah, absolutely. You want likes, you want views, you want subscribers. It's obviously impressive when I tell people, oh, I have 127,000 subscribers. I have a silver YouTube play button plaque. It's great. it shows off because, obviously for me at the time, making that kind of content was really important because it built up my credibility, it built up my visibility, it built me as an influencer, as a creator, but also helped my business as well. However, for business owners, you don't need to chase the views. You don't need to chase the subscribers. You don't need to chase the likes because your target audience is much smaller. Especially for realtors, your market, your area, or your specialty is smaller. So you don't need thousands of subscribers. You don't need thousands and millions of views or likes. You just need a few that will actually be interested in what you have to say. And that's the power of YouTube as well, is that you have the ability to reach that audience and not worry about these vanity metrics. In fact, I have one client, and for him, even getting one client is worth tens of thousands of dollars every single month. And so that's what we do. We are like putting out content for him, and he's able to get that type of business now where he wasn't getting it before. And so he's making content regular now because of that visibility he gets from it and not worrying about the number of likes or views and subscribers. So keep that in mind as you go on your YouTube journey because, yeah, it can be hard and it can feel discouraging without getting the views. But the most important thing is being relevant. You want to make sure that your content, especially on YouTube, is relevant to your particular target audience, your particular niche, whoever it is that you specialize in helping, or the area or whatever it is that you do that is special to you. That's where YouTube can be really powerful. So as an example, you want to be relevant. You want to have content that says, is now a good time to buy? What are the best areas, a certain area for new families? What can you do? What can you bring to the table as someone who has knowledge and specialization in your particular area of real estate? As you know, there are a lot of realtors in the Greater Vancouver area. What is it, like over 15,000 realtors in the Greater Vancouver area? Not all of them are active, I know, but there's a huge attrition rate because it's very hard. So what are you going to do to separate yourself? What are you going to do to make yourself stand out? You got to have some kind of a hook. You got to have something for people that want to learn this from you. So really important to understand how to be relevant and who you're going to be targeting. That being said, I hear this a lot from realtors. Oh yeah, I'm going to make the videos and I've been making them. I'll just use my phone and I'll just, be in my car, or I'll be walking to the grocery store, or I'll be in my pajamas or whatever, because I just want to be authentic. And I always think, well, let's just think about that for a second. The person's watching this is likely going to be thinking about making one of the largest transaction in their life. Do they want to see you looking authentic, coming out of the grocery store, walking your dog, doing all these different things? It seems like it's fun. People that will say that it's fun and interesting and they like it, I don't know if they're going to be people that are going to be buying from you or working with you. Because if I'm going to be working with someone for this large of a transaction, I want to make sure that they actually look and act the part. Being authentic, be a little bit careful. Think of it like a job interview. Dress a little better than the interviewer. That's always my advice when it comes to this. Making videos, it's also really important that you get some basics right. So when it comes to videos as well, you don't want to be just on your phone and having bad lighting and bad audio, because again, it's that perception. It's that credibility that you're trying to build. It's why when something looks nicer and looks better, we think it is better. It's like food. It's like a car. It's like anything else. If it looks nice, we think it's better. It may not be. Think about Land Rovers, for example, the most unreliable vehicles ever in the history of the world. And yet people love them because they look great and they have the prestige and branding and whatever else. Same with you. So in order to get those things right, a few simple things you need to do: make sure you have some good lighting, good audio, and a way just to hold your phone up so that you're not jiggling it around like this. Getting videos right now and getting them done properly for yourself is super important for your brand, for your credibility. Anyone who tells you otherwise is lying to you. Like, give you an example of bad lighting. If I turn off my light, this is not going to be very good. You are not going to like this at all. If I switch off my microphone, if I switch over to my camera microphone as an example. Let me see if this will even work. Well, actually, I'll switch over to my AirPod microphone. I think this is now the AirPod microphone, and I'm guessing it doesn't sound very good at all. Okay, so now going back to my microphone, which hopefully now it sounds a lot better. So it's now the microphone that I have just out of the shot of the camera here, but it's a much better microphone. And that's why I always say, get good lighting, get a good microphone, have a way to stabilize your phone so at least it looks decent from the start. You don't want to create a bad impression off the start because again, first impressions matter. And you know that, we all know that. It's absolutely true, especially in your business. It's so hard. And that's why you're part of AgentMarket as well, right? You want to make sure you're creating a good impression for people. The next thing, from my years of experience of doing this, making hundreds of videos, thousands of videos for literally hundreds of clients around the world, the one thing that I've noticed is that there are certain videos that always are needed. And these are foundational videos that you create and have them work for you for many, many. So the first video that you want to have is your basic introduction video. Now, introduction video, this is important, but it's also one that people get wrong because what they tend to do is they talk about themselves the entire time. They talk about how great they are, what they like to do, and all these different things about themselves. But as a person who is interested in doing business with you, potentially selling my home or buying a home or whatever, I want to know how you can help me. So the intro video should focus on what you can do for your particular target market. Who it is that you're helping, what problems that they're experiencing, how can you help them? This video is usually about 60 to 90 seconds long. I find that 90 seconds is a sweet spot. You don't want to go over too much longer than that because the reason for this video is not because they'll work with you immediately from this video. It's so they'll watch another video and learn more about you. Because the whole idea here is that anyone that watches with a single video, they're probably not going to do business with you right away. They need to get to know you a little bit. So the next video that I recommend is anything about your particular services. What is it that you do maybe special? For example, maybe you like to provide a pre-listing inspection. So you get a home inspector come in, do the whole inspection so that when someone is looking to buy that home, you can already present them with, here's the home inspections. You don't need to worry about it. This is why we're pricing it this way. This is why you'll be able to move in right away. So maybe that's your specialization. You can include that as part of your services. Maybe it is helping certain particular types of people. Maybe it's new homeowners. Okay, sure. If you're specializing in first-time buyers, think about all the things that first-time buyers need to know and how you can help them. Maybe it's like, okay, well, how do you choose a mortgage broker? I help you with that. So things like that you can have as your services videos. The next type of videos are going to be FAQs. These are going to be the things that people need to know, and you're going to be the one to provide those answers because this builds up your credibility and your trust with that person watching these videos. So if you're the person that explains what's the difference between, property taxes and strata fees, or, what are the differences between like maintenance fees and special levies or all these different kind of things. So if you're the one that can answer these FAQs for them, great. You also want to provide what I call SAQs or should ask questions. So these are questions that they don't know they should be asking, but you're going to provide them. So this could be maybe the top 5, it could be the top 10. Really, there's no limit to how many of these videos you can make for FAQs or even the services. You probably have limited services, but FAQs, make as many as you think are appropriate. The last ones are super important. We want to hear from other people that have worked with you, that have trusted you, that can say, yeah, this is someone that I would want other people to work with. The big mistake that I always see that realtors make, though, when they make these testimonial videos, is every one of their clients will say, they're a nice person. They will go above and beyond. They will always, be there when you need them. These are really common. Every single realtor I've ever worked with that I've made testimonial videos, I'm like, you know what? You probably want them to say something a little more specific in terms of how you help them exactly. So ask them for examples of what you actually did. Maybe it is, well, we were trying to buy a home and we didn't have much time. We're under really tight pressure to sell our place. Maybe we're moving out of the country. And so they were able to find a buyer from their database, line up all these different services for us, and get that sale done in even less time than we expected. So things like that would be really great for the testimonials. All these things that I talked about are videos you can put into a playlist on YouTube. This playlist can then be used to share with prospective clients. When your clients want referrals, or giving you referrals, they can also use this playlist or any videos from there. And the playlist will be structured in a way that you'll have your intro video at the top, your services, the FAQs, your testimonials, all lined up really nicely so that when someone goes and watches them, they can watch everything all at once. And by the time they finish watching these, they're going to really get to know you a lot better than trying to meet you or talk to you over coffee, whatever. They don't have time. You don't have time. Letting them passively be able to do this is really powerful. That's why I call this kind of like a sales funnel. Awareness at the top, getting down to the bottom of the funnel when people actually want to do business with you. So these videos, the foundational ones, really key to your business. Also, once you start creating this content, a lot of it can be evergreen content, but you also want to stand out. So remember earlier I was saying you want to be relevant. You want to make sure that your content is not just, here's the latest monthly report and the update for the market. Unless you're going to provide something really special and unique, maybe you specialize in West Vancouver and you specialize in condos in West Vancouver. And so you say, well, if you're trying to sell a place in West Vancouver right now, here's what you need to know based on the latest information we have. These kind of things are going to be evergreen. They'll also be very relevant. But this is where you can really stand out and be a little bit different. So maybe you have something that is more exciting. So what does $1 million get you in Vancouver versus Burnaby? Not as much as before, but definitely a topic that people are interested in. Maybe it's something that you have a strong opinion about. And this is really important too. If you can have a strong opinion about something, this also helps you to stand out, which again, really important. As an example, maybe you see problems with people when they make listing photos. What are the things that they should do differently? How can they improve them, right? Maybe it's also educational. This is really important as well. Again, the questions that people have, the education you can provide, and maybe specializing in certain things. Maybe you really love landscaping and design and things like that. You can talk about how those things can add value to your home or what to look out for if you're buying a property. And, these are mistakes that people often make. Again, lore in depth. This is really interesting because you could talk a little bit about the history of a neighborhood, ghost stories, whatever it might be, who knows, but something that helps you to stand out. So all of these things, they're not hard to figure out if you just kind of, take these as examples. And even if you want to use AI and think about, well, hey, how can I do something a little bit different? Well, make sure that you are using AI to speak in terms of what you like to do or who you are and your specialization so it can help you to stand out as well. So this is content that I highly recommend that you think about creating because it is really uniquely you. The other thing about producing content, and this is something that I work with all my clients, is all this content should be created as if you are meal planning. You want to produce maybe 4 videos or a bunch of videos at one time, get them all ready, and then get them scheduled on YouTube so you don't have to make another set of videos for another month. You can plan them out. So typically what I do with my clients, and this is something I recommend to you as well, is your first set of videos should all be published at one time. So those foundational videos that I mentioned earlier, you'll want to have those all ready and then publish them all at one time because each one, like I said, leads into the other. So you want to make sure that your intro video is ready. Then you have your services videos, and each of those services, maybe at the end of them, you'll say, hey, now that you know why it's so important to hire a mortgage broker, you'll probably want to know how to deal with a lawyer. And here's a video about the questions you should ask when hiring a lawyer. So all these videos should link together. And that's why I say, think about meal planning in this case here. But then after that, if you start creating content regularly, which I highly recommend, think about in terms of batching that content together, making them all at once. You'll feel a lot better about it as well, rather than have to worry about making them every single week, and then have them scheduled and ready to go. Is it easy? No. But is it worth it? Yeah, absolutely. Not everyone's doing it. People are afraid of it. People don't know what to do. They don't understand the power of it. Hopefully, after today, you'll understand why it's so important to do this. Now, I haven't shown you any sample videos from realtors that I've worked with, or even other realtors that I've seen that make video content. And the reason why is because I don't want you to judge what they are doing and think that, oh, I don't really like that because of that. I've worked with a lot of realtors, and I know that realtors will do that. I go, oh, you know what? That's not me. I don't do that. So, I'm gonna just discard what you just said. So that's why I'm not showing any samples from other realtors. You can look online and find them. But that's the thing, is that you want to make sure you stand out for you. And that's why I'm encouraging you to think about making videos. Because like I said, not everyone's doing it. They're afraid of it. They don't know what to do. Hopefully after today, you will feel like, okay, yeah, this is something I could tackle. If you do have questions, please do let me know, but I'll also open it up for other questions here too.
Thank you very much, Kyle. There were a couple of questions on the chat. So one of the questions that came through was, how long should a typical video be?
This is a great question. I'm glad that someone asked this, because this is probably the one that people get wrong the most. Most people think that the videos should be as short as possible. That, we're in this age of short attention spans, TikTok videos, whatever. These things should be fast. Depending on the video, sure. But the length of the video should depend on what the content is and what the person needs to know in order to fully understand it so they can take the next step. So as an example, if it's a video about maybe the buying process or the legal process of purchasing or selling a home, what does that involve? Well, I don't want a 30-second video about like, here are the 3 things that are going to happen. No, I want to know a little bit more information, so I'm making sure that I'm going to make the right decision. So if that video ends up being 10 minutes long, that's okay. It shouldn't be filled with fluff. You got to be careful and plan it out properly, of course, but it should be long enough to convey the information, to provide the value that it should provide. And so the person watching it actually fully understands everything. So it's not about the length. I do think that, for example, for the intro video, because I've made hundreds of them, the sweet spot for intro videos is 90 seconds. But as far as the other videos are concerned, they're really just what length is appropriate for the person watching the video, for them to learn the content and learn the information.
Yeah, that's great. I also think when I watch YouTube videos, they can be longer because you can either speed up the speech, right? So you can listen to it a bit quicker, right? It goes faster, but you can still hear every detail, and then slow it down when it comes to the parts that you are mostly engaged with, I think, or the information that's important to you.
Yeah, and I've seen videos that are 30 minutes long that I'll watch because the content was relevant to me. I needed to
Yeah.
know it for some reason. And in this case here, for realtors and for your clients and prospective clients, this is a pretty big topic. You do want to provide as much value as possible. And this is one thing also, I'll just kind of touch on really quickly. Years ago, I worked with a realtor who said they didn't want to share tips. They didn't want to share how, what people could do. They didn't want to share this information because they were worried that it was just their information, that was proprietary, that somehow if they shared it with the world, that other realtors would copy it or whatever. And I was like, you know what? That's a really limited view of, first of all, uh, thinking about it, you're the only person who knows this stuff. No, people can Google it. I can Google all this stuff and find it just on my own. I can use ChatGPT now to search for all this stuff. I don't need you to tell me. But if you do tell me, then I have trust in you as the person I may want to work with. And so it's very limiting in terms of mindset to think that, you know, not sharing it is actually better, that somehow you're protecting yourself. You're actually blocking other people from wanting to work with you. So that's one thing I want to say as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And in terms of ChatGPT, because there was another question that came in around AI and potentially avatar creation, or how to use AI when creating the video. So yeah, what's your opinion about that?
Personally, I love AI. I use it probably every single day. I use it with my clients when I work with them because it speeds up my process. But I don't let it do all of the final work. I do train it and I do have it do part of the work. But as far as actually doing all the work for me, no, I would never trust it for that. The other thing is AI avatars. I have a lot of clients that ask me, you know what, maybe I don't need to be in the videos. I can just have an AI avatar of myself and, I save a lot of time. Yes, you could. However, at the end of the day, you as a service provider, people want to know you, that it's actually you. They want to get to know you. So if they find out that it's an AI avatar, yeah, they're kind of like, well, a little bit of maybe credibility could be lost. Not only that, but if your competitor is being themselves and authentic on these videos and the real self on the videos, it's definitely more important because it's that human to human connection. The other thing that I've seen happen is people have an AI avatar, and then when a real person, a client, talks to the real person about something that they said in their videos, they're not going to know because they didn't actually make the content. They won't remember it. It happens a lot. So again, that destroys your credibility because you've kind of burst their bubble on who they thought you were. That congruency has been lost there because they don't trust you anymore. The biggest comment that I get or compliment that I've received is when people meet me in person, they're like, "Oh, you're just like you are in your videos." And I think that's where having you in the videos is so important, and that's where AI, can't touch it. Again, using AI to plan, prepare, research, all that kind of thing, great. Saves you so much time, does a lot of the work. I use it myself, but you do need to be careful and make sure that it is customized. I had one client tried to copy the scripts that I write for her using AI, and she, thought, I'll just use AI and like replicate exactly what you did, and it'll work. And I go, well, okay, great, try it. Well, it was completely wrong because it didn't know the nuances of how to actually get the story across or communicate in the right way, and it just didn't work. So use it, but use it carefully.
Nice. And then one last question from my side. So on AgentMarket, all the real estate agents have their own online public profile, and it includes a video. They can include a video. What would you recommend they would include on their online public profile? What type of video should they showcase there?
Yeah, I think that the intro video for themselves is really important. I think that anything that they can mention in that video about how they specialize, what they could do for their clients, things like that are really important. And again, don't be generic. Don't say things like, I'm really passionate about real estate and I help people to find new homes and realize their dreams. No, make sure you're a little more specific than that. Identify who you're trying to target and have that there. So I think that is really important for those particular videos. You may even want to think about, if you can, obviously at the end of that video, you could even say something like, to learn more about my services or how I can help you, go and check out my website or learn a bit more, whatever you want to do to have them view other content as well from you. That could be something useful.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Carl. And for everybody watching, thank you very much for taking the time. If you want to connect with either myself or Carl, please do reach out on our LinkedIn's, on our socials, or even on YouTube. And it was, lovely having you. Thank you so much, Carl. And I hope to invite you back for another topic in the near future.
Free to do so anytime. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye.